The world is rapidly warming, and if we continue on this path, we are headed for a catastrophic 3 degrees Celsius temperature increase in the next century. However, our target should be to limit the temperature rise to 1.5 degrees Celsius, and we have less than 10 years to rectify this situation, and the current efforts to reduce carbon emissions are very insufficient. To address this challenge, we can make use of carbon markets. Now, carbon markets operate on the concept of exchange. Just as we exchange glances, ideas, gifts, and currency, we can also trade carbon emissions or credits to reduce them. While we work towards reducing carbon emissions, developing the technology needed to achieve zero emissions will actually take time. Even if we switch to electric cars, airplanes and buildings continue to produce carbon emissions. Therefore, we need to find a way to capture and store carbon from the atmosphere to prevent further contribution to global warming. The good news is, trees naturally capture and store carbon. The downside is that deforestation is a major issue. However, carbon markets can actually help combat deforestation. They insensitize landowners to preserve trees by compensating them for the carbon pollution that cannot be eliminated immediately. This ensures that the trees continue to absorb carbon for years to come. Carbon markets not only reduce emissions in the present, but also secure the vital role trees play in achieving zero emissions in the future. While not a perfect solution, in the race against time, every effort actually counts, so we must take action right now. Mr. Wesley Kejedi understands carbon markets better than anyone, and he is here to play his part in making the world green again. This is Climate Pod by Caleb Koyo. Welcome, Wesley. How are you doing?
I'm well, thank you.
So the big question is, because on that intro I said we can just like we exchange glances and greetings and all that, we can actually do some exchange when it comes to this climate change conversation. So the first question we really want to throw you away right now is, what is this carbon trading thing?
Okay, thank you for having me on this podcast.
Yes.
So when you talk about carbon trading, is just trading carbon. Yes. So
okay.
We've talked of how people are able to exchange their emission, how they've cut their emission. So carbon trading is a country or a project being able to trade. So let's say, for example, you're planting trees. You're able to take carbon from the atmosphere and store it in the trees. We're able to quantify that you've stored this amount of carbon with these trees. So am I able to sell whatever I've stored to help another person to offset the carbon that he has emitted? So that is the exchange of...
That's the exchange.
Yes.
The trade part of it.
Yes.
So why is reducing greenhouse gas emissions so important for Africa's fight against climate change?
So when we talk of climate change, there are very many factors that are contributing to climate change. So what carbon trading is trying to solve or trying to alleviate is reducing the amount of carbon that is in the atmosphere. When you talk of climate change and carbon, in terms of maybe what carbon does to the atmosphere or the ozone layer. So if we emit less carbon or we reduce the amount of carbon that we are releasing into the atmosphere, it means that we are heading to a safer, a greener, a more...
climate, a greener continent, greener, globe and all that.
True.
That's actually very nice. So these carbon trading systems, are we having it so much in Africa, or it's being embraced like out of Africa as compared to back here at home?
Okay. Recently is when now we've really deliberated as a continent, and also we have agreements that have been put in place, like the Paris Agreement, that is involving Africa. This was not really an African effort as per in the past. So we were not really put on the map or involved in the business of carbon trading. But now the agreement that is right now, the Paris Agreement, involves the developing countries. Africa, most of our countries are developing countries. So we've been put to be part of this carbon trading business.
Okay.
Yes.
Nice. Because you mentioned Paris Agreement, now I have to touch on, I don't know how to pronounce it right, Kyoto Protocol, that were actually introduced back in the days to, help fight climate change and everything. This actually came to effect back in the days, but it didn't really yield a lot of fruits. That's why we brought the Paris Agreement in 2021. These policies, how effective are they? Do people play so much politics with them to an extent that they don't really fulfill their mandate at the end of the day?
Okay, we talk of the Kyoto Protocol and also the Paris Agreement that is currently being implemented right now.
Yeah.
The Paris Agreement is just an improvement of the Kyoto Protocol.
Yeah.
And what Kyoto Protocol, you see, these are just efforts
Yeah.
that the world is taking to reduce the carbon that is in the atmosphere.
Okay.
It's not really, we are not going to, we are trying to remove the human interference or the way humans are introducing carbon into the atmosphere.
Okay.
So these agreements they're there to help us to guide and so we don't have really enforcement policies to follow up if you are really doing this, but it's just for a goodwill for a better world, so it's upon a nation to follow those agreements on the protocols.
Nice. So how does carbon trading differ from carbon offsets?
Oh, okay. So an offset, when you do carbon offset, is just a method or a process that you're doing. So when you exchange that, whatever you've offset is now we call the carbon trading. You can offset, let's say if you're planting trees or you're involved in decarbonization process or the methods. So if you remove the carbon from the atmosphere, that is, you're offsetting. But now if whatever you've offset, you're able to sell it to another.
That's trading now.
Now that is trading. Yeah.
So this is also very important for African businesses and African governments.
True.
Is it a business that many people are tapping into right now? Because I think it could be the safest business. You make money, but also you do it on a very good cause.
Yes.
Are we doing it? Are we doing this business as Africans?
Yes. If you can follow through what we've done, let's say as a country in Kenya, and what the government is doing in an effort to plant 1 billion trees.
1 billion trees, and by 2030.
True. That is one of things that we are doing as a country and getting involved into this business. So as Africans, we are now on board in these efforts.
However ambitious the president's plan is to actually plant 1 billion trees, I think it's achievable.
It is.
Because we have very many.
True.
There's also a very nice concept that I actually saw this morning, the concept of cap and trade. What is this cap and trade, and how is it being applied in Africa right now as far as this conversation about carbon trading is concerned?
When you talk of caps, is like it's part of the Paris Agreement, where every country has been given a cap of the amount of carbon they're supposed to produce in the atmosphere. So let's say Kenya, you have this. So the carbon is measured in metric tons. Okay. So let's say a country has been given, let's say 1 ton of carbon metric. So whatever is happening within that country, you are not supposed to pass that cap.
Okay.
If you pass that cap, you should now go and buy whatever the other country has not used. So that is a cap. Like a country has given a cap not to surpass. Is a threshold on the amount of carbon to
emissions they should be having. That is annually.
Yes.
Yes. So if they surpass this, buying from the other country that has not surpassed theirs, what does that mean?
That means like you are able to now you are trying to get whatever someone has not used. Yes. So that you can offset whatever you've exceeded as on your cap.
Okay.
Yes.
What role could African governments play in establishing and managing cap and trade systems? Because we see a lot of politics. We don't pollute too much. those people pollute too much, they should be doing too much. There's so much going on. So I think there should be some role of maybe not only the government, even the private sector, even the, you know, everyone. What role should we play to manage this carbon trade system?
So in my view is if we talk of a cap of a country, what government should do is just like trickling down whatever efforts a country is doing, and let's say if it's in agriculture, does a country, like in terms of policy, what policies has a government done to ensure that we are doing sustainable farming? If we have maybe companies within a country, are there caps that you've given to these companies? Yes. So that is an effort that a government can take in terms of maybe policy making and also enforcing those policies, so that the countries are able to adhere to the cap that has been given.
So every company should have their cap.
Yes. And it's just a matter of just taking whatever cap they've been given as a country
and dividing
and taking it to
trickling it down to every company.
Every not only even companies, also to at individual levels. How is a country producing energy? Such kind of stuff.
I understand that. So that is like localizing everything.
True.
It's more of devolution.
True.
Devolving climate change.
Devolve. That's the one.
So there's also a concept of carbon allowances. You know, there's the issue of we should allocate carbon allowances to companies in Africa. This can affect local industries. If you really, do these carbon allowances to every company, how is this likely to affect these local industries?
You talk of carbon allowances. So if a company is given, I'm trying to get what you're saying.
Let's say the Collie project. Then we have been allocated, carbon allowances. This is the minimum that you should do. This is the how far you can get with this. Can that affect how we operate? Can that affect our business? Maybe it's a manufacturing company. Maybe they produce so much, especially the industries now. They emit so much. If you try to bring this to them, can this also affect their production? Can this affect the way they hire? Can this affect
So if you look at this, you should look at it with a foresight view. Like, are you doing sustainable business as an organization? What we have the 3 P's. We have profit, people, and planet. So if you should be doing as an organization, you should be doing the 3 P's. Like, you should be sustainable. When you talk of sustainability of an organization, is how do you see yourself as an organization 30 years from now? So if you've been given that allowance, so you are able to produce more. What of tomorrow? What if your materials will be depleted by 2050? Will you still be there as a business? Yes. So I think that really
every company should put that into consideration and everything. We have these carbon credits, and we have factors that can, influence the kind of pricing that we have in the market right now. You are an expert. You do this business. You have maybe I could call it a startup that actually does this. What are some of these factors that can actually influence the price of carbon credits?
So it's just that the rules of business, supply and demand.
It's business.
Yes, true. So if we have a lot of people who want to offset their carbon, now that really affects the price of the carbon credit. Yes.
It's just normal business.
It's just normal business.
There's no like special something. It's just like the way somebody else sells shoes.
The problem with the carbon trading business is a voluntary kind of business. Like, there's nobody to enforce that. Yes, we have enforcements from the UN that certifies projects, but now we don't have regulators to cap maybe the pricing of something. So it's just willing seller, willing buyer, willing seller.
Like that.
Yes. So the price of the carbon offsets is just market driven,
just
supply
market
and
driven,
demand. Yes, true.
When the dollar goes like this,
yes,
it could go. Understand? So there are very many challenges, and people are criticizing climate change. People criticized Kyoto Protocol. People are still criticizing Paris Agreement right now, and there's so many lessons that African countries can actually learn from issues faced by, of course, the first international carbon market that was under Kyoto Protocol.
Right.
Those lessons are in the public domain. Those lessons are always in conferences that are organized by governments, and people who are so much interested in climate change, they know some of these lessons. But we can also talk about oversupply of carbon allowances. And this actually can lead to financial crisis. Like we were saying, it might affect the way a company does the business. But you provided a very good insight and said, if we do this right now, where do we want to be in 2050 or in let's say even 2030? So I think there's too many perspectives that organizations can actually, put into perspective every day. So another issue that we have in Africa, of course, as far as carbon trading systems are concerned, potential challenges, governments and all that. Do we have the right people? Let's say we have we have our president, William Ruto, His Excellency, does a lot of conferences. We have the young people, we have the startups and everything. Do we have the right environment to really drive this conversation, to really localize this carbon trading thing, so that everybody can actually know, oh, this is actually something?
Yes.
Because the first time you were talking to me about this, it sounded so cool. I didn't even know it's climate change anymore. Like it sounded like somebody wants to sell me a chocolate. It was so easy.
Yeah.
Do we have the right people to campaign for this? Yeah,
I think we are somewhere. We are starting somewhere.
Okay.
I think every effort or every good thing that you see started somewhere.
For sure.
The conversation has already started. That is a good thing.
That's why we're here today.
Yeah, true. Yeah, like having this podcast, just sensitizing people on climate change. Like right now, someone is able to know why he's going to plant a tree.
Plant a tree, for sure.
Yes.
Yeah.
Why are you going to do something like? How is it going to affect the climate? Like us starting this conversation is the first step in achieving a carbon free.
The rubber is on the road already, so the information is out. Like they said, many to care. The writing is on the wall, so whatever you want to do with it, it's just you. But talking about something we want to do with something, are there any existing or planned carbon markets in Africa? And if so, how do they actually function?
Yes, we do have existing carbon. So what in the Paris Agreement, countries are able to exchange their carbon offsets. Yes. So we do have the carbon, like you're able to, it's not really only in Africa.
Yeah.
You're able to, like you can trade with other countries.
With the countries.
Like in the Middle East. Like
China.
Like, yes. Like right now as Kenya, we are trying to tap into the Middle East market.
Yeah.
Yeah. They really want to, because the oil stuff.
Yeah.
They're trying to offset.
Yeah.
Yes. So we do have existing markets.
Okay.
Yes.
They're there, we are looking at the benefits that we can get from this, global trend, like you're saying, that is moving towards carbon trading. I understand there's a very large market in China. Why do you think there's a very large market in China?
Because companies are in China.
And China is always open for business.
Yes.
Anytime. Chinatown, they're always selling.
Yeah, they're really selling.
I think, of course, that market being so huge in China, that could potentially affect pricing in Africa. And also, that could be a very big thing for us here in Africa, because we can have a lot of people trading this, and that's going to be so cool for the climate at the end of the day. So, however way we get the market, as long as the market is there, it's cool.
It's cool.
It's nice. It's nice.
And also, China, I think, because of the industrialization that's going on in that country, many companies, be it phones, be it what is really goes to China.
Okay.
Yeah. So I think they really need the carbon to be offset from their end. That's why it's a big market.
It's a big market.
Yes.
I understand that. Are there some trainings that you do, or some trainings that you are aware of as far as, carbon markets are concerned?
So there's a lot of information on the internet.
Okay.
Like just reading through different articles, first of all, of being able, let's say the Paris Agreement. If you go through the whole document, you're able to understand what is carbon trading. And we have a lot of articles, a lot of videos, a lot of podcasts talking about what is climate, what is carbon trading. So we do have a lot of content in relation to carbon trading.
I feel like it takes someone with a big interest to really find out the type of content they want, so that they can influence the other people as well. So how can Africa ensure that its participation in carbon trading does not lead to a displacement of population or unfair economic impacts? Because like you said, it's business.
Yeah, true. So I want to also clarify that when we are talking of carbon trading, it's not only, we have two ways in which you can earn carbon, like you can participate in carbon trading. This one that's called carbon sequestration is where you take the real carbon from the atmosphere, and maybe, let's say, if you are planting trees, you're able, the trees are able to take the carbon from the atmosphere. And then we have the second participation level. It's called decarbonization. Decarbonization is you just reducing the amount of carbon. Let's say you are using stoves to cook. And then now you're using gas. You see, you've reduced the amount of carbon that is being taken to. So you can participate in this carbon trading business. So if you talk of displacement of people, yes, there are people who can.
You want to plant trees.
And also these can really affect food security. Like people want to get into this business, just plant trees and
get money,
not food. So governments should really strike a balance on how much trees do you want, how much, at what level do you want people to participate. So that there's a balance that you need to strike.
Get the right land. Don't displace people just because you want to plant trees. And if you have to displace them, show them where they're going to go first, because I think that's very, very important. So do you think carbon trading could be an effective method of addressing climate change? After everything is said and done, we have a lot of methods. Do you think this could be the best way?
So in my view is, if we follow the protocol that are existing, if we have the right policies. I know we have a lot of criticism around the protocols and the agreements that are already in place, but if we do follow like keenly, this is just an effort. It's try and error. This is our world. We have one earth.
There's no planet B, man.
Yes. So if we take these efforts that are being given to us, if we follow them, it's an effort. We're trying to have a carbon zero.
But you are not saying that it's the best.
It's not the best.
It's one amongst many strategies.
We're just trying to have efforts around this.
Just trying to play your part in it. So before we actually finish, what are some additional strategies that might be more suitable for African countries to reduce greenhouse gas emissions away from carbon credits and carbon trading?
Also, what I talked of when you talked of devolution, I don't know how you can make this a process, but devolutionizing the climate
change conversation and all that.
True. So we've talked of decarbonization. So are you using maybe charcoal to cook? You see, if you can replace that, or you can have an alternative way of cooking that is
without cutting trees and burning
and producing a lot of carbon. You see, that's an effort that you're taking at an individual level. If you and me do that, like we've really done a lot in terms of like producing less carbon into the atmosphere.
For sure. So what you're saying is this conversation should not just be in boardrooms and all that. Everybody has a part to play. It doesn't matter how financially stable you are. It doesn't matter where you are. If you're always leaving your house and the switches and the sockets are on, maybe if you just turn them off, that's your participation. Wesley, thank you so much for your time.
Thank you.
If there's anything you want to add, or where we can find your startup, while you're doing your trainings and all that, maybe you could do that right now.
Okay, so I have a startup called Zero Carbon. We are just trying to incentivize those who are participating in decarbonization efforts.
Okay.
So you can reach to us, zerocarbon.africa.
Zerocarbon.africa.
Thank you.
Definitely, we are going to reach out. Personally, me and my people going to reach out to your people. Then we will see how we can make the world green again.
Yes.
Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you.
We appreciate
Thank you for
that.
having me.
So guys, that was the first episode of Climate Pod. Remember, we are on a mission to make the world green again. So there's so many strategies, there's so many efforts, there's so many agreements, there's so much politics going on right now. But you have to stop the noise and think of what you can do as a person in your village, at your workplace. Just change your routines a little bit, and that will go a long way in making the world green again. I'm Caleb Coy, and thank you so much for watching Climate Pod this week.